Raise your hand if you have been told that you were not good enough, clever enough, or smart enough when you were little. Yes, we have all been there. So I want you to remember that feeling, because that's exactly how children with dyslexia feel in school every single day. And not only that's how they feel every day in school, the media also try to remind them that dyslexia is just a long word of stupidity, or it's just some kind of middle-class disease. Hello, I'm Dr. Rosa Kwok, a research fellow at the University College London. My research area is in dyslexia and literacy development. So you might ask me, what is dyslexia? Children with dyslexia often complain that they have difficulties in reading and writing. They often see words fly around in front of them, and they often get confused with letters that look very similar to each other, like B and D. So for a word like blissbot, a new word, for a typical adult like yourself, you will take about 6 presentations of this word before you can learn that. But the amount of exposure will need to be doubled for an adult with dyslexia to learn this word. So it's going to take an adult with dyslexia at least 12 presentations of this word in order for them to learn it. And I could relate to that. When I was little, I went to one of the most prestigious primary schools in Hong Kong. So I was surrounded by all these brilliant, smart, clever kids. One day, my teacher told me that, well, Rosa, it seems like it takes you a few more times before you can learn something. So I got my school bag, walked back home, and I told my mom that, yeah, that's what my teacher told me, that it takes me a few more times before I can learn something compared to my peers. Does that mean that I'm stupid? My mom told me that, baby girl, I don't really care whether you are the most intelligent girl in the whole class. What I care is whether you put in your best effort in every single task that you do. And if you can do that, you'll be fine. So I keep my mom's word in my heart, and I push my teacher's word to the other side of my brain, and I keep working hard for 20 years. And I managed to get a PhD in psychology at the age of 25. So turns out it doesn't really matter that it takes you a few more times to learn things as long as you keep working hard. If we look at the Texas prison population, 60% of them are dyslexic. But what we don't talk about is that 50% of NASA scientists are dyslexic as well. If you look at the American self-made millionaire population, 40% are dyslexic. So why are we only talking about the limitation of dyslexia, but not celebrating the strength and the uniqueness that comes with the dyslexic mind? The World Economic Forum has published a report that shows the key skills that are going to be important for the job market over the next 10 to 20 years. The skills that adults with dyslexia are very good at, which is creativity and visualization. This is going to take up to 50% of the skills demand in the job market over the next 10 to 20 years. What about the skills that adults with dyslexia are not very good at, which is literacy skills? Turns out it's going to take up to 10% in the skills demand over the next 10 to 20 years. Now, I'm a researcher in literacy development, so you will never hear me say that literacy skills is not important. But the reason why literacy skills is only going to take up to 10% in the job market is because of technological advancement. So do you remember when you used to type in Microsoft Word? If you type something wrong, you will see that red squiggly line, yeah? Children with dyslexia often complain to me that, well, yeah, I see that red squiggly line, but I don't know which option I should choose from. Now, with Microsoft Word that comes with the new Windows 10, all children can hear the options of the red squiggly line. so that they can hear all the pronunciation of the word and they can choose the one that they want. So you see, with new technological advancement like this, it's really going to help to alleviate the difficulties that children with dyslexia experience. I love this real job advertisement. When I first worked in this area a decade ago, adults with dyslexia tend to hide their diagnosis because they feel like it's going to hinder their career progression. But I love this job advertisement. It says that if Steve Jobs is still alive, he's a real innovator. He's going to be creative. He's an out-of-the-box thinker. And he would think, what's the best thing that we can do for this company? As a company, we are innovative, we are creative, and we value the strength of dyslexia. So adult with dyslexia, if you think that we are a good fit for you, come work for us. So you can really see that even in the job market, we begin to value the strength of dyslexia rather than just focusing on their limitation. When I work with children with dyslexia, I often try to remind them that, hey, Sir Richard Branson, Jamie Oliver, Adele, all of them are dyslexic. But children with dyslexia often say to me, well, yeah, they are not ordinary. They are special. They are not like me. So children with dyslexia find them very unrelatable. But the thing is, I always want to remind these children with dyslexia that these figures, they were once children. And if they have belief in the voices that say to them, you're not good enough, you're not going to achieve anything, you're not going to succeed, I don't think they would be where they are today. But in order to convince children with dyslexia, I partner with the British Dyslexia Association. I interviewed 100 adults with dyslexia. I want to know, where are they right now? What careers are good for adults with dyslexia? And how are they making this world a better place for all of us through their everyday life? And when you look into the data, we can categorize their jobs into 4 categories. Number 1, adults with dyslexia are very successful in the creative industry. We have seen lots of graphic designers, fashion designers, illustrators, painters. Adults with dyslexia are very creative. They also work really well with children. In fact, recent studies have shown that children with dyslexia might be more compassionate compared to their typically developing peers. We have seen a lot of teachers and psychologists who are dyslexic. And the reason why they get into this field is because they told me that when they were growing up, not a lot of teachers actually understand the learning profile of dyslexia. So now that they have been through the whole education system, they want to be there to support the learning of the next generation of dyslexia. The same goes with psychologists. These adults with dyslexia told me that when they were growing up, not only they have to face the learning difficulties, but because of their dyslexia, a lot of them have been bullied in school. So they have to deal with mental difficulties as well. So these psychologists, once that they have been through the whole education system, they want to be there to support the next generation of dyslexia to go through different mental difficulties. We can see a lot of them working in the healthcare system as well. We have a lot of nurses, doctors, podiatrists, physiotherapists, occupational therapists. These adults with dyslexia are making the NHS system better for us every single day. And when we talk about dyslexia, of course, we cannot miss the business industry. Adults with dyslexia are very entrepreneurial. I want to share a few case studies with you. I love the story of Andy. Andy, he grew up in one of the poorest areas in the UK. When he was born, he really struggled with the English letter sounds. So his mom focused on teaching him on the English letter sounds before he gets to primary school. And his father focused on teaching him on mathematics skills and computing skills. Even though they didn't know what Andy's future career is going to look like, they always have faith in him because they know that he's a great speaker, he is really compassionate, and he's also a very good musician. Today, Andy is a self-made multi-millionaire working as a top sales in a global company. I want to share the story of Tom with you. Tom, he got a first-class degree in engineering. He's doing his third-year PhD in aerospace. You can see that he's a pilot. Being dyslexic didn't keep him on the ground. I love the story by Alicia. Alicia told me that, yeah, I don't have a business degree, but now I'm selling my product, which is the baby sling, to my customers worldwide. We can see that all these 100 ordinary adults with dyslexia, they have gone from being a zero in the classroom to being a hero in the real life. So where do we go from here? Well, we could easily just stick to the old ways, focusing on people's limitation, keep telling people that they are not good enough. Or we can begin to focus on people's strength, encouraging one another to be the best version of ourselves. If you would like to join me in this journey, there are 3 things that we can do together. First, I would like all of us to focus on building talent. There is this mom who brought his teenager with dyslexia to come and see me. You can obviously see that his mom forced him to see me. We have this typical teenager, really grumpy, just want to get done with the task so that he can leave. So he completed my task. And after he finished the task, I told him, I have done this task with 30,000 children and teenagers with dyslexia. A lot of them give me really typical thoughts and ideas. A lot of them just draw mountains. You are the only one who gave me a Sydney Opera House. What it means is that you're able to generate thoughts and ideas that other people can't. And that's what psychologists call statistically rare ideas. And after I said that, you can see there is joy sparkles in the boy's eyes. And it's like finally there is someone who understands him and being able to see him as a person beyond the label of dyslexia. The mom told me that, well, yeah, my child wants to be an architect, and he has been trying to figure out how can he become an architect while being dyslexic. A few days later, I received an email from this mom, and she told me that his lovely teenager son cut the picture of the Sydney Opera House that he drew, and he stick to his bedside, so that even after a very difficult day in school, he would remind himself that there is something that only he can do. But I can't do this on my own. I'm a psychologist, so I'm trained to see the creative talent in children, teenagers, and adults. I know in our audience today, we have people working in all sorts of industry. We have software engineers. We have people who are working in the education sectors. I would like all of us to identify talent in our own niche, in our own working area. And when we identify that, to be able to encourage one another to be the best version of themselves. And while we are doing that, I would like to encourage us to focus on progress, not perfection. Children with dyslexia often say to me, I can't write. I often correct them and say, you can't write yet. And I would remind them, hey, do you not remember 6 months ago you could only give me 1 sentence? Now you can give me a whole paragraph. When we focus on progress rather than perfection, we help people to focus on what they can do, not what they can't do. I would like to encourage us to help people to see their true self. And one way to do that is by helping others to understand their personality traits. And you can do that for free through this link. There is a girl with dyslexia, a little girl. She came and see me, and I've done this task with her. And I told her that, hey, do you know that you are an ENFJ? By the way, if you want to know what's ENFJ, go check it out. And I told her that in this world, only 4% of the population is an ENFJ. And do you know who shared the same personality trait as you? Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey. So now, this little girl with dyslexia, she would say to herself, well, yeah, I might have the diagnosis of dyslexia, but I also share the super cool personality traits as Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey. The story that we tell ourselves matter, and if we begin to plant seed of hope in people's heart, we can really change lives. All of us are weird or strange in our own ways. We are all neurodiverse. So let's not be that person who say to other people that you are not good enough, you are not smart enough, you're not brilliant enough, but be that person to identify the strength and encourage each other to be the best versions of themselves. I would argue that children with dyslexia are born to stand out. Let's not force them to fit in. Thank you.